everyone, it's Natalie back. Today I guess I'm going to do the video on a healthy or unhealthy relationship, what a healthy relationship looks like, what an unhealthy narcissistic relationship looks like. I'm going to use some of my experience from it, and just some off-the-brain things. I don't write these things down, so maybe I should, because I've watched a couple of my videos and I'm like, oh, I should have added that, I should have added this. I just kind of ramble. So I'm going to use, when we're dealing with, let's say, in-laws, okay, and what a healthy in-law looks like, a relationship looks like, and what an unhealthy relationship looks like. So I'm going to use a couple of my own personal top favorites from my in-laws and what a unhealthy relationship looks like, and what my parents said and did in that same situation, and what a healthy relationship looks like on my husband's part from his in-laws perspective. So my husband went to his parents for marriage advice. Okay, my husband and I at that time had been together 20 years. And after 20 years, you need marriage advice. I mean, I don't care who you are. After 20 years, a little bit of advice, a little bit of therapy or counseling, you might need that in your relationship. It doesn't mean the relationship is gone. It just means that maybe you've hit a rut. And in any relationship, it's like a roller coaster, right? So you're going to have your high times, the wonderful times, and then you're going to have the okay times, and you're going to have the really crappy times, and then it goes back up, and then, it's kind of like that. But with the unhealthy, it's not a roller coaster. Like, the high points aren't there. It's just one straight, flat line of unhealthiness, okay? So when my husband went for marriage advice with his parents, which he should have known better, our therapist even told him, like, you knew that your parents are narcissistic. You knew that they didn't like your wife, even though they pretend to. See, that's what tricks my husband into thinking he can go to get advice from them, because when they act nice to me, he thinks that they really like me, which they don't. And so my husband went for marriage advice and was like, hey, Natalie and I are dealing with this, and we don't know what to do. Like, can you give me some advice? Because that is their son. He should have all the right to go to his parents in a healthy relationship and ask his parents, can you give me some advice in my marriage? Well, his parents' advice was, you need to get a divorce. They throw the D word into your marriage when it was never there to begin with. Like, you went for advice. You didn't go there saying, I hate this person. She's the crappiest person. She's doing all this stuff to me. Like, you didn't go there. And even if you went there with that, the D word should not be put in their mouth until all options are exhausted, especially when there's children involved. So they're like, you need to get divorced. Matter of fact, I have a divorce lawyer on my phone. That struck me really odd when he told me that. I'm like, why do they have a divorce lawyer on their phone? Well, my husband's still a codependent. Or at that time he was. Oh, I don't know, Natalie. I think because my aunt just got a divorce. I'm like, really? So your mother just so happened to get the number from her sister's divorce lawyer? Have you ever heard of that? Like, what type of people goes and asks, hey, can I have that divorce lawyer's number? Someone that's looking to get a divorce, that's who. Maybe not in their own marriage, but they have an agenda towards your marriage, and you better believe that they're going to prepare for that divorce, even if you've never spoke about divorce in your marriage. So they're telling him. So my husband's like, well, how would that even work? Like, it caught him off guard, kind of, because he went there crying and upset, and he wanted them to actually not say that. He actually wanted them to say, look, this is just sometimes this is what marriages go through. Like, there's high points, there's low points, and this is what me and my wife do, or me and my husband do this when we're stuck in a rut or an argument. This is what helps our marriage. Like, that's healthy, right? Unhealthy people who have an agenda will say, oh, get divorced. Oh, I've told you for years to get a divorce from that psycho over there. You know she's mentally unstable, right? And they start whispering all this stuff in their ear. So my mother-in-law said that Jared asked, well, how would that even work? But I'm like, what do you mean get a divorce? Like, we have a kid together and all, you know, we've had this life together for 20 years or 19 years at the time. And she's like, oh, I've already got it figured out. I've been there, done that, and I got it all planned for you, honey. We're going to take her child. I'll raise him. I'm going to raise your child. And then you can fly in on the week every 2 weeks and visit. Because my husband travels for work. Because my husband's like, dude, I work all the time. Like, how would I even be able to be a single parent? Like, Natalie helps me so much. Like, this doesn't make any sense to him. And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, you can fly in every 2 weeks on your days off. And I'll be the new parent, the new mommy. And you can be the secondary daddy while my husband's the other dad. And we'll raise Bryce. And you can just visit your son, I don't know, a handful of times a year. Like, no problem. No problem. I've already got it figured out. So my husband's like, huh. So she's like, oh, and by the way, this is what you get a piece of paper. I need you to write this stuff down, because she's already wrote it down. I gotta read you something, so you need to write these things down, and this is how we do it, okay? And you know, if we don't do it this way, I'll never see my grandson. So she said, number one, you need to take Natalie's job, because I work for my husband. Number two, you need to cut off all her credit cards and limit, or no, what did she say? She just pretty much told my husband to take all the money in our bank and just cut me out of the bank policy. Like, you need to cut her off. You need to cancel her credit cards and her debit card and make sure she can't go in and take all your money. Okay? Number two, you need to go ahead and tell her she needs to leave the home. My husband was sitting there. He wrote this down too, because he was really looking for a marriage advice, but I think because mainly he wrote it down, he wanted to show me what they were saying. And number two, you need to make sure she can't find you and Bryce. Or number whatever. Like, you need to go ahead and take Bryce and run and hide and make sure your GPS on your phone is turned off so she can't find you. And we're going to just sort all this out before she can take our grandchild, run and hide, and I'll never see him again. Like, that is what they said. That is super unhealthy. So she wanted to ruin my son's life, wanted to traumatize him by her narcissism, and he would have grown up a totally different child. Wanted to take him away from his father. She wanted to raise my son as she was the mom. Okay? Then she wanted to destroy my husband's whole reality. Everything that he's worked so hard for in life, she wanted to destroy it by taking the only person he's ever loved out of his life, including, actually the two people, including his son, not having a family dynamic anymore, someone else raising his kid, he'd never not seeing his kid every day, and just crushes reality, pretty much. So, leaving him single, lonely, depressed, suicidal, and And the way my husband works, even if he wanted a girlfriend, it'd be very hard to maintain a relationship with his traveling for work. I mean, it just would be impossible. So my husband also contacted my mom, and said, look, Natalie and I got in this fight. I need, this is what's going on. I need some advice. My mom said, hold on a minute. So my husband told her about the argument and everything. My mom said, before I give you that advice, wait a minute. Let me call Natalie real quick. She called me. I was like, oh my God, I already knew. I'm like, yeah, Mom. What the hell are y'all doing? She goes, don't make me come over there and kick both of y'all's asses into reality. Like, you guys love each other. Like, why are y'all arguing? What is this all about? Like, what is going on? Go in the other room, put me on speakerphone. I want to talk to you and Jared together. Together. My mom has a degree in psychology. And she sat there. First, she kind of smacked us in the face. And then number two, she used her degree in psychology to help us. She was loving and caring and kind and was there for us and had sympathy and had empathy and tried to fix the initial problem that we were arguing about. And she sat there on that phone for as long as it took to fix it. We talked to her several times over the next week, and we figured out what the problem was, and we solved that problem. She told us to go to marriage counseling, which we did. It was the best thing that's ever happened in our marriage. That's where you should go to get your advice first and foremost, is a marriage counselor before you get anyone involved. If you have empathetic parents, it's okay to talk to them because they're going to relate. Narcissistic in-laws cannot relate. They do not have sympathy or empathy for your situation. They do not care if they are going to rip your child away from you or your wife or everything that you've worked all those years for and fought for in your life. They don't care. And especially if they have money, because they think they can throw their money at you to fix your problems. Okay? And my mom, she's a good person, man. She really tried to help us. And she did. And that is what a healthy relationship, in-law relationship, looks like. Is somebody trying to understand the situation that you're in, have empathy for it, sympathize with your situation, and most of all, relate. Because like I said, anyone that's been in a relationship for 20 years, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know. It's not all high, kissy face, let's, go in the bedroom all the time for year after year for 20 years. Trust me, it's not. Very few marriages ever are like that. I've never heard of one. Usually after about the 5th year, the roller coaster of the high starts going to the low in the first 5 years. And it kind of does that every 5 years, I would say, or every, I don't know, I guess, I would say every 5 years. Every 4 or 5 years, you kind of go through this roller coaster and you need marriage advice or therapy. So that's kind of my example of a unhealthy in-law to a healthy in-law situation. This is 14 minutes. I didn't realize I was going off like that. I could do more examples if you want, but that is, I think, a very important comparison in a healthy relationship and an unhealthy relationship. Narcissists do not care about you. They have an agenda. They are going to meet that agenda. Or you're going to have to disappear out of their life and go no contact. Because if the narcissist has an agenda, trust me, it's going to be met. It's going to be met, guys. You can fight all you want for your marriage or your relationship. If that narcissist is after your spouse, you better believe that agenda is going to be met unless you go no contact. Because if not, two things are going to happen. Number one, you're either going to end a divorce and do what your parents say, or number two, your partner is going to be living in an emotional, psychological hell. And trust me, you don't want your partner dealing with that, because then your partner starts getting depressed, anxiety, and doesn't like being around those people, and it causes conflict in your marriage. It does. And it causes your spouse to lose strength in her own self, in her own confidence, in her own spirit. That is the truth. You cannot allow your in-laws to treat your spouse with disrespect, disregard, and not care for 1 minute what their opinion is in the relationship. The narcissist has control of your relationship. Only their opinions and decisions in your relationship matter. Period. They don't care what you have to say. They don't care. When I called my in-laws, because when me and my husband were talking, my husband's like, well, call my mom, Natalie, you need to call her. I said, okay. Because at that time, I was like, dude, like, I don't know. It just like, we never get in fights. And I guess since we did get in a fight, it really hurt both of us. And I'm like, whatever it takes, babe. Like, I am so sorry we got in that fight. Like, I don't know why that happened. Like, that should have never happened. I am so sorry. Whatever you want me to do, I am willing to do, because that is how much I love you. That's how much I care about your opinion, that you care about what your mom thinks, I have to say. And the respect that you show me, I care about it. So I called his mom. And after I saw the list and everything, because he showed me the list, and I'm thinking, what the world is going on? Why is she telling him to divorce me? Like, why is she telling him to take my kid? Like, what? My bank? Like, so you're leaving me homeless, childless, and in a ditch? Like, that's not healthy. So I called her, and I'm crying, because me and my husband had just spoken, and it was an emotional conversation. And I called crying, and I'm like, I am so sorry we got in this fight. I am so sorry that we put you in this position. Like, this should have never happened. So his mom's like, she has this, like, hypnotic voice. By the way, narcissists do have hypnotic voices. And she's like, it's okay, Natalie. Calm down. Calm down, Natalie. It's okay. Let me speak to Jared for a minute. And I'm like, okay. Give the phone to him. She's on speakerphone. First thing she said out of her mouth after I was sitting there crying to her in pain was, Jared, she's on drugs. Get Bryce, and y'all need to go to a hotel and make sure she can't find you. Get Bryce, she's on drugs. Because I did what my husband asked me, and that was to call his parents. Apologize for getting them involved, even though I wasn't the one. He was the one, which he should have never done. He understands that now through therapy. But to sit there and cry to somebody, your weakest emotions, to cry, to apologize, to get a response like that, telling him, manipulating him into thinking I was on drugs to manipulate the situation more into her favor. I was stunned. When she started saying that, Jared took it off speakerphone. I said, you better let me hear this. And he's like, shh, telling me, shh, don't say anything, Because, see, throughout the years, we tell each other everything, and he tells me everything his parents say about me. That's why I know all this. And that's why I've always grown more angry towards them throughout the years, because the things that they were telling him in private, I had known in person. And then they would sit there and smile on my face and act like they never had that conversation with my husband because they didn't know I knew. And so it started to really build up in me, and I just started hating being around his parents. I hated his mom. And hate is a strong word. I don't think I've ever used that word towards somebody. Like, I hate you. No, never have. But after, 20 years of this, like, trust me, you start hating someone. And then that hate turns into the point where you just don't care. And you're like, screw you, dude. Don't come back in my life. That's how you start feeling. You're like when you break someone to that point where you've mistreated someone to the point where they just don't care anymore about that relationship, you've lost. You've lost. Because if you can push someone that far over the edge to the point where they're like, I don't want you in my life anymore. Like, you do not have that type of control anymore over me. You have abused me long enough. Like, I am putting my foot down to this. Don't ever speak to me again. Matter of fact, my son is coming with me. So is my husband. And you will not be in our life anymore. Ever again. That's what's happened. Put my foot down. Whenever it's gotten that far, or to the point that the person that's been being abused just doesn't care anymore, you have won. It's a pitiful way to win. But when you go no contact with somebody and you stop caring about what they're thinking and you live your best life, you find yourself, you live the life that you want without without people having their opinions or decisions for you. You've won. That's how you win, is you live your best life without them in your life. You stop caring about the person that has tormented you throughout the years, that has spread rumors, has told people things about you to other people to get them on their side. Every time that person had a chance, they were gossiping about you. So just in case this day ever did come, they could turn around and say, see, I told you. She's mentally unstable. She's not a nice person. She hates me. See, I didn't hate her up until the very last chance that I gave her. Then I started saying, yeah, because she goes, see, Jared, I told you your wife hates me. I go, you know what? I do hate her. She's right on that one. She finally got something right. I hate her. And she deserves that. She most definitely deserves the word hate with her name. Not only is she a hater, but I hate her. She is a horrible individual. She is a nasty person, and she has an agenda in my marriage, and that is to get rid of me, take my son, take my husband, and take control of my husband's life again. Because, see, now she thinks she lost control, even though she controls my family dynamic. Anyway, on the other hand, my mom has always helped us. She's always been there for us. She's even given us a roof over our head when we needed it. She has always counseled us and been there for us and knocked us in the head when we needed knocking or our butt kicked and woke us up to what we were doing in our relationship. That's healthy. When your in-law can call your spouse and ask them on the phone, what is going on? Like, seriously, why are you guys fighting? That's healthy. An in-law that, let's say the daughter-in-law is calling the in-law to explain herself, the in-law won't answer. They go no contact because they're trying to meet their agenda with their son and everything. That's unhealthy. When the mother-in-law won't answer the phone when she knows that there is a problem in the marriage and the daughter-in-law is calling and they don't answer, that's unhealthy. When an in-law doesn't want to speak to your spouse about the fight that you went to them for, that's unhealthy. A healthy relationship will say, let me talk to your spouse. That's someone that's in the middle. That's not taking anyone's side. That wants to understand the situation, to empathize with it, to sympathize, to connect with it. You know, they want to understand what really is going on. Like, they truly care. People with no agenda act like that. People with an agenda are always on one side. Always. They will never meet you in the middle. Only their opinions and decisions matter. Anyways, live your best life. Kick them out. Go no contact. Quit explaining yourself to people, especially the flying monkeys. Stop doing that. Stop posting stuff on Facebook about your situation. Stop posting poems about how you feel on Facebook. That is fueling the fire. That they're, especially when you have their flying monkeys as friends on Facebook or whatever social media. They go back and tell them. They take screenshots and send it to them in a text, especially since you've already blocked them more than likely. So, wake up. This is your reality, but at least you have found out that you're dealing with narcissism, because I didn't know what I was dealing with for a long time. I thought it was something was going on that was super strange. I just couldn't put a name on it, and then I found out. See, I've been studying psychology for a long time, but I just never really came across the word narcissist before. And whenever I started reading to figure out what was going on in my situation, I was like, oh my God, this is it. It matches it to a T. To a T. Like, the textbook definition of a narcissist is exactly what you should find in your narcissist. Exactly what. Anyways, I gotta go, guys. Live your best life. Keep your spirits up. Cry alone if you got to, or cry in therapy. Don't come crying to me. I'm just kidding. Let me know what your feedback is down in the comments below if you want. If you want any coaching, let me know. I'll leave my email address in the description and the information for that. Okay, bye guys. Love you. Have a great day, by the way. All right, bye-bye.